Last night, the Lakers looked sensational in the first quarter, even without LeBron. They scored 37 on the NBA's best defensive team, the T-Wolves. Then Anthony Davis got whacked in the eye again and was out for the rest of the game. And the Lakers pretty much fell apart as D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves combined to go 9 of 33. And I was thinking about Keyshawn, who could not have been happy with that. So this is what AD had told ESPN about the first time the eye was injured against Golden State on March 16th. And I quote, "I just couldn't see. The corneal abrasion was actually right in the middle of my eye. It wasn't like off to the side, so anytime I looked, it was blurry. My eye was swollen. I thought my eye was like torn open, but it wasn't. It kept watering. It just felt like sand was in my eye." Darvin Ham surprised me after last night's game when he was asked about AD's eye. I thought he'd say something like, "Hey, we're hoping it'll be okay in time for Tuesday night's home game against Golden State." And ESPN did report that a source said exactly that. Yet Darvin's terse reaction made me think the injury might be worse than expected. Here was Darvin's response after the game.
How much of this did it remind you of the Golden State game? Just in terms of him, first quarter, hitting the eye, and his stats kind of up in the air.
Well, the injury was the same, what he heard in terms of him getting hit in the eye, but that was about it.
Do you have any sense of his availability?
Nah, no updates right now.
Interesting. So, Keyshawn, what's your gut feeling on how big a deal this injury is going forward?
Well, I've seen somewhere where he's expected to play on Tuesday. Rachel would know more than me because she's dialed deeply into the NBA. You know, when he got hit, Skip, because I had just tuned into the game at the beginning of the game, and when he got hit, I'm sitting there and I'm going, you know, like many people. But once they zoomed in and I saw the red mark on his face, and then I saw the slow-mo, I said, okay, it's legit. I said, it's legit. This isn't something that I could be mad about. Whatever it is that's on that side that's tender, that every time he's getting hit. Now, these dudes are big, man. In basketball, people think basketball is not a physical game.
It's a contact sport.
It is a contact sport, and when somebody is coming down on you with force, as big as they are, you're going to feel it. It's going to impact you. And you could tell that he wasn't feeling good, and he didn't come back into the game. Now, we were up by 4 when he left. And you could tell we unraveled for no LeBron and all of a sudden no AD. This was not the same team that we saw.
It was actually 35-30 with 20 seconds left in the first quarter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you look up and you say to yourself, okay, we're up. He goes in. He'll come back out the second half. But when he didn't come back out, I just was like, yeah, we're probably going to lose this game. You can tell that the momentum had kind of shifted to the point where we didn't have LeBron or AD. This wasn't the same team that went to Boston and beat Boston. No. It wasn't that. It was something totally different. And this is what's going to happen. We got to get it fixed, whatever it is. He's got to, if he needs to put on the
rec specs.
Yeah, the little mask thingy, then wear that. But we got to have him on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're what? They're 2-3 without Davis.
Yeah.
They're only 6-5 without LeBron. I don't think you expect them to win a game without LeBron and AD, even with what happened in Boston. That's a fluke. That's why we all were like, oh, wow, what was that? Because it's not what's going to happen every time. If this was an orbital fracture injury, which is what Kyrie had a couple times, Kyrie had those eye injuries, and once that bone is weakened, you're more likely to get it again, I would be more concerned. It doesn't sound like that's what this is. It certainly wasn't it the first time. The first time was, as you said, a corneal abrasion. I don't think he has weak corneas. I think he's just got hit in the wrong place twice. And I wouldn't expect this to keep him out that long. I wouldn't expect it to be a continuing problem throughout the playoffs or anything. But it is unfortunate timing with LeBron also out. I think the bigger thing to take away from this game is that they were playing so well in the first quarter without LeBron. And this remains a team that has gotten straight at the right time. D'Angelo Russell is different than he was a year ago. You know, he was hot going toward the end of the regular season a year ago, but this feels different. This feels like a maturity and a sustaining thing that they can count on for the rest of the playoffs. They feel like a more complete team. They're certainly playing better defense than they did earlier in the season, and we all know what LeBron James can do in the postseason. So to me, what I took out of this game was that first quarter. When I'm looking at an indication for the Lakers, I'm not looking after the last 3 quarters when Anthony Davis is out. And now I'm starting to wonder, assuming AD does come back, assuming that he is healthy, do they want to try to catch Denver early? Jamal Murray's been hurt
He has.
He is expected back.
That's a good point.
After, before the end of the regular season.
I know. I'm giving you credit.
No, I'm saying that. I said that. I said we want them running. We ain't running from them.
Well, but it's more than but now with the Jamal Murray factor, it's more than just pride. We're not running from them.
No, I mean
it is the fact that he is expected back before the playoffs started, but you're not going to be in rhythm in the same way as if you've been gearing up for the last
but we
month.
are in rhythm now, so let's get whatever people think is our nemesis out of the way early.
Yep.
That way we got a cleaner path to the championship.
Unless your nemesis becomes the Golden State Warriors, who beat you on Tuesday night and send you spiraling backward, and you wind up in the 10th hole as opposed to the 9th or 8th, right? And you got to go up to Golden State and win one game for your life, so to speak, for these playoffs.
Yeah, and look, we've seen the Lakers beat Golden State in a one game for your life kind of situation, but I wouldn't want to be in it.
No.
Steph Curry in a one game, this is it or that. That's not a basketball court I want to walk onto. So I do think they're in a good spot, assuming if he does play against, Anthony Davis does play against the Warriors, it's going to be a home game for them. I assume they will be favored for that. They've got the Grizzlies after that. We know they're going to be favored for that. And then they end the season in New Orleans playing the Pelicans. Now, that's going to be a tough game. And the irony is...
If the Pelicans play it seriously.
Is Zion going to play?
I mean, he played last night.
And did he play?
Yes, and played great, by the way.
Yeah. They finally figured out how to guard Devin Booker last night.
Yep.
And held him to a low roar, and because he had gone 58, 52, and 52 against him. And last night they said no at Phoenix and got him.
Yeah. But look, I mean, they end the season in New Orleans. There's a scenario where they just stay there. And they play their first playing game there.
Okay.
And then if they advance, that's it. They get to go get ready for the playoffs. If they don't, then they'll have to play another game, obviously. But you know, how they do in this next few games, I'm not worried about them, given the momentum they have and given that this AD injury, at least the indication is right now, it's not that serious.
Yeah. Okay. So I know Darvin well enough to know I was surprised by how terse he was after the game, because I thought he would just say, it's not that big a deal. We hope he'll be just fine, and kind of just shrug it off. But he did not shrug it off. He wouldn't go there. He wouldn't. Something was going on in his head. And then I started thinking, did they think it was a cheap shot on Kyle Anderson's part? Because he went right at his eye.
No,
Kyle's not a physical player.
Down on him.
You know, but he's not what you were describing as a physical, tough guy, you know, another big guy against a big guy. He's 6'8"-ish, maybe 6'7", 6'8".
Big to me.
Yeah, he's big to you, yeah, for sure. But I don't know what the issue was after the game, but he was not happy.
Do you think that it's a little bit, though? I mean, your years as a newspaper reporter, right? Yeah. It's the way a question is asked, and I'm not criticizing the way Dan Wilkie asked that question, but he asked a different thing, right? He said, did that remind you of the Golden State game? It felt like Darvin was sort of hung up on that comparison.
And he couldn't go there.
As opposed
he tried,
to the Anthony Davis
couldn't
comparison.
Go there.
Yeah.
He just puts his arm up.
Okay. Well, he whacked him right across the eye.
Yeah, but he's contesting the shot, and he just come. I mean, I guess he could have pulled it back or something, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it was a cheap shot.
So then James Worthy, the great James Worthy, on the postgame here in L.A. on the local, who was, you know, he made goggles famous first. You know, he just said, hey, you got to go goggles. Yep. You got to put some on to protect you. And he said it takes 3 or 4 games to get used to it. So I'm hoping AD can play Tuesday night in goggles and just start to figure it out, because it is, as Robert Horry said, it takes your peripheral away a little bit. It's just hard. But once you, as James said, once you get used to it, you actually start to like it.
I wonder, is that better or the actual mask deal?
I don't know.
It's players say you get so sweaty underneath it. It gets hard. It can be hard to breathe sometimes under the mask. I wouldn't expect them to really try to force goggles on him this close to the playoffs. I think if you're going to do that experiment, you do it in November. You do it in December. I obviously don't know the extent of this eye injury. I wasn't in the exam room, but it felt more like a fluke thing that it's happened twice in recent time than it did, like, again, the orbital fracture with Kyrie, where it was like, man, that bone's weakened now. You got to be careful about that.
Whatever happens, Austin Reeves and D'Lo got to shoot the ball better.
They got to shoot the ball better.
They got to shoot the ball better.
I completely agree with you.
And Austin Reeves got to stop turning the damn ball over.
I would agree with that.
The defensive attention is so different on them last night.
No, I understand. But they had open shots and they couldn't knock them down.
Yeah, he had 4 turnovers, did Austin Reeves.
But he's a sneaky turnover machine.
He can be. And D'Lo went 1 of 7, and he went 2 of 6. At least he made a couple of threes, did Austin Reeves. But I thought in the second half they might make a run, because they do that. Without LeBron and AD, they're capable of getting hot from 3, and nobody got hot from 3. But remember, they're up against the best defensive team in the league. They just are.
Reed got hot. That's the only one.
Nas Reed, he made 6 of 8.
Nas Reed is an underrated player.
Is
He was knocking down the threes left to right.
My
He
God.
is a super. That's not. He's been like that. He is an underrated player.
I mean, he strokes it like it's a free throw, and I'm saying, oh, they should let him shoot more out there.
I mean, this is why they haven't really missed
Fast,
a beat
quick
since
release.
Cat went down.
No.
Right? They have a really capable backup there.
All right. So, are you? Which side of the fence are you on now with the Lakers? Are you pro or
I'm
con?
good as long as they healthy and on the court. If I can get LeBron on the court and AD on the court, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. But if one of the two are not there, then we're gonna be in trouble.
And then I kept hanging on to Gabe Vincent, and he played a couple games and played 15 minutes a night. And then last night he sat again because clearly he's not right. So to your point, you can't expect anything from him.
It's too late.
It's
And by the
just
way,
too late.
he could have a game in these playoffs where he explodes. He has one of those, like, man, that gritty guy, that undrafted dude, look at what he did. He
Okay,
did it
but we
obviously
haven't
multiple
seen even
times
a
during
hint of
Miami.
that.
But we
No.
haven't seen a hint of that.
No.
And I'm not saying it can't happen. You shouldn't count on it to happen. It's too late. He just hasn't been playing with this team the whole season. You can't count on him being a key part of your playoff run. He is an extra. He is a cherry on top if it happens. That's it
Okay.
with him.
So now back to what I saw in the first quarter. Keyshawn, when Anthony Davis is right,
Yes.
there's just nobody better.
Yeah.
Listen, he loves to terrorize Rudy Gobert. He has put up big numbers against Rudy Gobert. So I was licking my chops because I thought it was going to be a feast to watch for the next 3 quarters after they won the first quarter. And once he was gone, they had no chance. And
He was starting to look like he could have a good game. I mean, he was 2 of 6. Okay, he
Yeah,
never
but
got to the
you
line.
just see when he
But you
decided.
could tell he probably was going to wind up having a good game.
Yeah. No, seriously. I could see if he were completely healthy, he could be the best player in the Western Conference playoffs. I know that guy's there in Denver.
Well, he is healthy. He just happened to
Okay.
catch an eye.
Okay, but as you always say, it's always something, right?
I'm not going that far.
No?
I think the best player on the court is going to be Nikola Jokic in any
well,
matchup.
You're Miss Denver.
I am beating the drum, but I will say this. My Denver confidence, which you know has been strong since the preseason,
Without Jamal.
is shaken a little bit with
Yep.
Jamal with this injury. Again, they expect him to be back, right? So
Yeah.
at least he will be on the court. But I do think Denver's first-round matchup now is important. Normally, I would say, doesn't matter who they're playing. Denver's my favorite to repeat as title winners, or certainly my favorite to get to the finals, maybe against Boston. But I think that now with Jamal trying to work his way back in, I am curious to see who their first-round matchup is, because if it's the Lakers with that length and with the way they match up,